Why do some people seem to master skills in months, while others struggle for years and still feel average? You've felt it before, that frustration, that quiet doubt. You start something new with excitement, a language, a business, a fitness goal. For a few weeks, you push hard. Then progress slows, confusion grows, motivation fades, and a small voice inside you whispers, "Maybe I'm just not built for this." But what if the problem isn't you? What if the problem is how you're learning? Centuries ago in Japan, masters followed a path so simple it almost sounds too basic. A path that shaped warriors, artists, and craftsmen into legends. That path is called Shuhari, and the first stage holds a truth most modern learners ignore. It begins with Shu. Shu means to obey, to protect the form, to follow the rules exactly as they were given. And your ego hates that. You want to be creative. You want to move fast. You want to add your twist. You want results now. But mastery does not reward impatience. It rewards discipline. In Shu, you copy. Not because you lack intelligence, but because structure builds speed. Research by psychologist Anders Ericsson proved that high performers are not born different. They practice differently. They focus on fundamentals. They repeat the basics with precision. They correct mistakes immediately. They don't chase complexity. They master simplicity. That is the secret. When you begin learning something new, your brain is fragile. Neural pathways are weak. Every distraction, every shortcut, every random experiment scatters your focus. But when you follow one proven method exactly, repetition strengthens those pathways. This is neuroplasticity in action. The brain reshapes itself around what you consistently practice. Shu is not glamorous. It is not exciting. It is quiet work. It is waking up and practicing when you don't feel like it. It is repeating drills when they feel boring. It is accepting correction without taking it personally. It is saying, "I don't know yet," instead of pretending you do. And here is the emotional shift that changes everything. When you fully accept being a beginner, pressure disappears. You stop trying to impress people. You stop trying to look advanced. You give yourself permission to learn slowly. And ironically, that humility makes you faster, because you are no longer fighting the process. Think about how children learn to speak. They imitate sounds. They copy words. They repeat phrases hundreds of times. They don't try to invent a new language. They trust repetition. And eventually, fluency emerges naturally. You are no different. The moment you commit to Shu, you step into a different identity. You become someone who respects fundamentals. Someone who trusts proven systems. Someone who understands that freedom comes later, not first. Most people quit here. They mistake simplicity for stagnation. They confuse boredom with lack of progress. But if you stay, if you endure this phase with patience, something powerful happens. The basics become automatic. Movements become smooth. Concepts become clear. What once felt hard becomes natural. And when that shift happens, you realize something life-changing. You were never slow. You were just skipping the stage that makes speed possible. Stay with this process, and you won't just learn faster. You will build unshakable confidence, because you will know deep down that you are building on rock, not sand, and that foundation will carry you further than raw talent ever could. And then something shifts. What once required effort now feels natural. What once felt slow now feels stable. The rules you followed so strictly are no longer heavy chains. They are quiet instincts. This is where most people get comfortable. This is where they believe they've arrived, but you haven't arrived. You've only earned the right to evolve. This is Ha. Ha means to detach. Not to disrespect the form, but to understand it deeply enough to expand beyond it. Because copying builds structure, but understanding builds power. Now your mind is no longer overwhelmed by basics. Your brain has automated the foundations. Cognitive load decreases. Mental energy frees up. And when that space opens, creativity has room to breathe. This is where learning accelerates again. You begin to ask better questions. Not just, what do I do? But, why does this work? You start to see patterns. You notice subtle differences. You test variations. You adjust techniques to fit your strengths. And something powerful happens inside you. Ownership. You are no longer blindly following. You are actively shaping. The skill becomes personal. It starts to reflect your thinking, your rhythm, your style. Psychology calls this intrinsic motivation. When you feel progress and autonomy at the same time, dopamine increases, engagement deepens, effort feels lighter. You don't have to force discipline as hard because curiosity pulls you forward. But this stage carries danger. Your ego returns quietly. Now you have skill. Now others may notice improvement. Now results begin to show. And the mind whispers again, you're good now. You don't need the basics anymore. This is where growth can collapse. Because detaching from the form does not mean abandoning it. It means bending it without breaking it. The strongest learners stay humble here. They experiment, but they measure. They adjust, but they reflect. They stretch their limits, but they revisit fundamentals regularly. They understand something most people never realize. Mastery is layered. When you refine your approach, analyze your mistakes, and deliberately test your limits, you create deeper neural connections. Your brain links patterns together. It builds flexible intelligence instead of rigid skill. You become adaptable. Adaptability is speed. Now when challenges appear, you don't freeze. You adjust. When conditions change, you don't panic. You recalibrate. You are no longer dependent on perfect circumstances because your understanding is deeper than memorization, and confidence transforms. It is no longer fragile. It is no longer based on praise or quick wins. It is built on evidence. You've seen yourself grow. You've corrected errors. You've survived frustration. You've improved through intention. That kind of confidence is quiet, steady, unshakable. This is where many people plateau because they stop refining. They settle for competence. But if you continue pushing, if you stay curious, if you treat every mistake as data instead of failure, momentum compounds again. You enter flow more often. Time disappears during practice. You become fully present. Research shows that flow states dramatically increase performance and learning speed. And flow is earned through challenge, balanced with skill. That balance is ha. You are stretching, but not snapping. Exploring, but not drifting. Building freedom on top of discipline. And slowly, almost without noticing, the rules you once followed consciously dissolve into instinct. You are no longer thinking about every step. You are responding. And that is where true transformation begins. And when you reach that point, something extraordinary happens. You stop trying. Not because you quit, not because you care less, but because effort transforms into expression. This is re. Re means to separate, to transcend the form completely. The structure that once guided you is no longer visible, yet it is everywhere within you. You are not following rules. You are not bending rules. You are embodying them. Your actions become instinctive. Decisions feel immediate. You no longer pause to calculate every move because calculation has been replaced by intuition. And this intuition is not magic. It is memory compressed into reflex. It is thousands of repetitions wired into your nervous system. Neuroscience calls this automaticity. The skill has moved from conscious effort into deeper brain circuits. Reaction time shortens. Precision sharpens. Energy is conserved. What once drained you now fuels you. This is where performance looks effortless from the outside. But you know the truth. It is not effortless. It is earned. Every disciplined repetition in Shu, every thoughtful experiment in Ha, every moment of humility, frustration, and persistence has forged this version of you, and now you operate from identity, not insecurity. Fear begins to fade here, not because challenges disappear, but because you trust yourself. You've seen proof of your own growth. You've watched confusion turn into clarity before. You've experienced progress that once felt impossible. That memory becomes power. When obstacles appear, you don't shrink. You lean in. You adapt without panic. You innovate without overthinking. Creativity flows naturally because your foundation is strong enough to support risk. This is true freedom. Freedom is not doing whatever you want at the beginning. Freedom is earning the ability to move without hesitation. It is the confidence that comes from depth, not surface-level skill. At this level, comparison loses its grip. You are not chasing others. You are expressing yourself. Your work carries your signature because it is built on internalized mastery, not imitation. And here is the deeper transformation. Rechanges how you see yourself. You no longer identify as someone trying to learn. You identify as someone who masters. That shift in identity alters everything. Psychology shows that behavior follows identity. When you believe you are disciplined, you act disciplined. When you believe you are capable of mastery, you persist longer. Re-cements that belief. You have lived the stages. You have felt the slow beginning, the experimental middle, and the intuitive peak. You understand that growth is structured, not mysterious. And that realization removes fear from future challenges, because every new skill, every new dream, every new mountain follows the same path. You are no longer intimidated by being a beginner. You respect it. You know that humility is temporary, but the strength it builds is permanent. You understand that confusion is not a stop sign. It is a stage. That knowledge alone makes you faster than most people will ever be. But here is the final truth. Re is not a finish line. The moment you step into a new arena, you return to Shu. And instead of resisting it, you welcome it. Because now you see the pattern. You trust the process. You move forward with patience instead of panic. And that is how mastery becomes a lifelong rhythm rather than a single achievement. You are no longer chasing speed. You have become the kind of person who cannot be stopped. And now you understand something most people never will. Learning faster was never about hacks. It was never about secret shortcuts or hidden tricks. It was about identity. It was about discipline. It was about respecting the stages that shape you. So the question is no longer whether this works. The question is whether you will commit. Choose one skill, one area of your life that matters deeply, not 10, not 5, 1. Focus creates intensity. Intensity creates momentum. Step fully into Shu again, but this time with awareness. Find a proven system. Follow it exactly. Remove unnecessary decisions. Stop tweaking. Stop jumping between methods. Protect the fundamentals like they are sacred. Your mind will resist. It will crave novelty. It will whisper that you already know enough. Ignore it. Consistency rewires the brain. Repetition strengthens circuits. Every focus session compounds beneath the surface, even when you cannot see it. Track your practice. Measure your effort. Reflection turns activity into improvement. After each session, ask yourself what sharpened and what slipped. Small corrections prevent large failures. Precision multiplies progress. When boredom appears, recognize it as growth in disguise. Boredom means the basics are stabilizing. Stay a little longer. Push a little deeper. This is where most people quit, and this is exactly where you separate yourself. Then allow Ha to emerge naturally. Begin experimenting carefully. Adjust based on evidence, not emotion. Stretch your limits without abandoning structure. Stay curious. Curiosity fuels resilience. It transforms effort into exploration. Notice how your confidence evolves. It is no longer fragile. It is grounded. You are not chasing approval. You are chasing refinement. That shift alone accelerates everything. Eventually, will unfold without force. You will move with instinct. You will solve problems quickly. You will feel calm under pressure. Not because life is easier, but because you are stronger. But never chase Chase discipline, chase clarity, chase daily improvement. Understand this deeply. Speed is a byproduct. Mastery is the goal. When you follow this path repeatedly, something extraordinary happens beyond skill. You build trust in yourself. You prove that you can stay committed when motivation fades. You prove that patience is not weakness. It is power under control. And that proof changes how you approach everything. You stop fearing big goals because you know how to break them down. You stop envying others because you understand their process. You stop doubting your ability because you have evidence of your own growth. Shuhari. Not just stages of learning, but stages of becoming. Every time you cycle through them, you upgrade your identity. You become more disciplined, more adaptable, more creative, more resilient. The world rewards those who endure long enough to compound their effort. Most people scatter their focus and wonder why they stay average. You will not. You will choose depth over distraction, structure over chaos, patience over impulse. And as the months pass, others will call your progress talent. They will call it natural ability. They will call it luck. You will know the truth. It was structure. It was humility. It was repetition. It was courage to stay when quitting felt easier. Start today, not loudly, not dramatically, quietly, deliberately. Respect the stage you are in. Give it everything. Trust that each layer is building the next. Because once you understand the rhythm of mastery, nothing you desire is out of reach. You are not behind. You are one disciplined decision away from becoming unstoppable. And once you make that decision, everything changes. Not overnight, not in a dramatic explosion of results, but in something far more powerful, quiet certainty. You wake up with direction. You practice with intention. You measure with honesty. And slowly your days stop feeling random. They start feeling aligned. This is where real transformation locks in. Because the greatest benefit of this path is not speed. It is self-trust. Every time you show up when you said you would, you deposit evidence into your identity.